What is the state of our union? And how do we make it better? We're going to talk about this and a lot more today, live on Speechless. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless, not only on the radio, but also right here on YouTube and Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, all that fun stuff. And so to make sure you don't miss a minute of any of it, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you go check it out. Even if you're not on YouTube right now, subscribe to the channel in some way, comment what you think, leave it in the comments. I will bring it up on screen. We will talk about it, and we will also ensure that you are heard as well. This is Speechless, right? It's not about everybody else. It's about us and sharing the opinions and thoughts that the woke elitists would not want us to hear or not want people to hear. Also, because of that, share this with your friends, everything like that. And I will say, YouTube has been kind of shadow banning me recently. I can tell based on the amount of views, subscribers, growth, and everything I'm seeing. So because of that, make sure you ring your notification bells to all. And if you have a story of like YouTube trying to be weird about my channel, let me know in the comments, because I want to talk about that a little bit, because it's problematic, more than problematic. It's just an emblematic of what they're going to do during an election year to ensure that conservative voices and pro-American voices will not be heard. And that's what these globalist companies will continue to do. I see so many amazing people in my comments already, like Gentry Jeevers, my good friend. We weren't able to do our podcast yesterday, but do not worry, we will be back next week. I see Mama Carol in here. Mama Carol is here, and she's amazing. Always views, watches, has a good time. And I see Demon Girl, who isn't real. Who is this beautiful angel on my screen right now? That would be yours truly, Kev Phares. But I am taking Demon Girl, just so you know. So I love you, but not the same kind of love, I'll be honest. Andrea, you're the best. Great to see you, Andrea, my anarchist friend. One of a kind, absolutely. But let's get into some different things. So I did a whole live stream the other day on the State of the Union. Me, Gentry, Ty Smith even joined me talking about the State of the Union address, reacting to Joe Biden's hour-long tirade of the old man yelling at the moon. But I will say it was more coherent than I'd heard Joe Biden in quite a while. However, when it comes to the reaction to the State of the Union from the media and from everybody else, the reaction was not, hey, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this guy who has enabled an open border, who has made it easy for immigrants to, basically illegal immigrants, to take advantage of our system, who has enabled sanctuary cities to provide more social services for people who are not even citizens of this country, but illegal. Somebody who has tanked our economy and, if anything, even prolonged the effects of COVID. Somebody who's prioritized every other nation, Ukraine, Israel, China, Mexico, Canada, all of them, over our own country. Somebody who specifically, while being the leader of America, has made America last instead of America first. Instead of the media tearing down any of those talking points, no, the media had an interesting focus when it comes to this State of the Union. According to the media, the issue with the State of the Union wasn't any of Biden's policy. It wasn't even that he mispronounced Laken Riley's name as Lincoln Riley. No. It was this. It was a single word that he said. It was one word. It was one single word. And that was the problem with this whole hour-long tirade from an Adderall, coked-out president. And it was one word. And I say that hyperbolically. I don't obviously know that whether or not he was on Adderall or had cocaine or anything like that. I would just assume that he was given some level of a steroid. And this is just a prediction, or like kind of a thought for me, that he was given some level of a steroid or enhancement to allow for him to actually go that long. And I'm not talking Viagra. I'm talking some mental stimulant. But one word is what allowed Joe Biden to talk as long as he did. That allowed Joe Biden to, or that the media is focusing on for Joe Biden. And I want you guys to listen to this clip from the State of the Union and see if you can hear the word that is worthy of the entire conversation regarding the State of the Union. Listen.
It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look.
Did you hear that? Let's listen one more time. Did you hear the word? Let me know in the comments before I reveal what the word is that has everybody angry, that has everybody talking about the State of the Union. Listen one more time and let me know in the comments what word it was that has Joe Biden in a bit of a tizzy.
By an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely.
Oh, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear the word? Mama Carol got it in the comments. And we're going to talk about that word in a moment. But I also want to point out the fact that 8,000, like this is a digression from the overall point. But because I'm live on YouTube and not on the radio, I can digress. $8,000. How many of you in Joe Biden's America have $8,000 just lying around, easily liquidated to spend? Now, these immigrants from another country apparently do. How that is, I'd love to know. But when it comes to the word that has everybody in a tizzy about Joe Biden's speech, once again, this is the State of the Union. This is a speech in which he's supposed to be telling us the current state of our country, of the primary issues facing us today, such as our border crisis, our economic crisis, hell, even from his point of view, a climate crisis. But instead, this was an old man yelling at the moon, as Ben Shapiro would put it, about pretty much anything he wanted, because he has no accomplishments. He has no genuine, real things to brag about in terms of a record. But he did use the forbidden word. Again, what is that forbidden word? As Mama Carol said in the comments, illegal. Illegal, because this is what the left seems to care about. The left has no regard for the facts of the case or even the tragedy that is the death of somebody at the hands of an undocumented illegal immigrant, illegal alien, illegal, whatever you want to call them. I don't care what you want to call them. What I call them is a soulless animal. Anybody, not all illegals, by the way, anybody who would murder a helpless jogger, college-aged woman is a soulless animal, illegal or not. And so for the media to be so focused on the fact that Joe Biden would use the term illegal instead of undocumented immigrant or migrant or poor man looking for a better life that just happened to kill Lincoln Riley, instead of focusing on the fact that a poor woman is dead, a poor young woman in college, had a bright future ahead of her, is dead. Instead of focusing on that, our media believes that it is more important to focus on the fact that Joe Biden described this murderer, this sick, soulless animal, as an illegal. Because as we hear from the blue-haired, pierced up, self-loathing pieces of crap, no human is illegal. That's exactly how they sound, too. No human is illegal. Shut up. Makes me sick. And if you're sitting over there and you're saying, come on, Kevin, nobody could be mad that Joe Biden described a murderer, a sick, sick murderer as illegal. Like people have to realize that that's not the way it is, right? The media doesn't actually, no. Multiple media sources. This is just the day after the State of the Union. This is right before Joe Biden got onto Air Force One. This is him being asked about it. First off, this is the first time he was asked about it. Listen to this.
Do you regret using the word illegal to describe immigrants last night, sir?
Well, not probably. I don't regret it. Technically not supposed to be here.
Technically not supposed to be here. That's how he starts it. Listen to it one more time.
Do you regret using the word illegal to describe immigrants last night, sir?
Well, not probably. I don't regret it. Technically not supposed to be here.
I love it. Dark Brandon and the aviator glasses. My handlers didn't prep me on this question yet, so he's technically not supposed to be here. That's his response in that one. And that was shortly after. Well, eventually, once again, nobody's asking him the questions about, hey, what are you going to do about the southern border? Because that wasn't addressed. All he said is that it's all Republicans' faults and they need to send him the bipartisan bill when he actually has the power as the president to shut down the border today if he actually gave any level of a crap. He would. But no, instead of actually answering that question or anybody asking that question, it has to do more with the language around it. It has to do more about the language around it. And remember that as you watch this next little clip, which is from just yesterday on MSDNC, where we have another person, another host who asks Joe Biden about, instead of what are you going to do about the border, they ask him about your usage of language. Take a look and a listen to this clip from last night.
But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. We have to control the border and a more orderly flow, but I don't share his view at all.
Okay, so now that you've seen it in its full entirety, this clip of being asked about the word illegal, I want to remind you as to what is exactly being asked. So let's segment this out. Let's segment this question and Joe Biden's answer out. Once again, let's go through it. I'll break it down for you so that even the liberals watching, who for some reason defend this answer, can understand why it is grotesque. Listen.
But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
Once again, okay, before we even get into, so Joe Biden obviously says undocumented, before I pause that. But the question is not anywhere near about how are we going to save more lives? How are we going to ensure this doesn't happen again? It is, oh man, it's disrespectful the way you described the alleged killer as illegal. And now you can tell, because in the last clip that I just showed you, Joe Biden says to everybody, he goes, oh, he's technically not supposed to be here, which in my opinion is actually kind of a funny way to put it. Technically not supposed to be here. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the law flippin' says, Mr. President. But now his handlers got to him and they prepped him and they said, no, you have to apologize to the murderer. You have to apologize to the murderer and say, I'm sorry, you're not illegal, you're undocumented. Like, honestly, it's a pig in lipstick. Illegal is the pig, undocumented is the pig in lipstick. That's really what it is. It's stupid. Keep listening.
Undocumented person.
Undocumented.
And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood.
Okay, so the difference between Trump and me, now it's on to Trump. We're going to divert from the murderer, but after we apologize to the murderer, alleged murderer, now we are going to be like, well, actually, even Trump's wrong. Nobody asked about Trump, but okay, let's get into this. Trump's wrong because he describes this murderer as vermin. This, not just a murderer, like I don't want to say that any murder is okay. No murder is okay. But it's even like when you are a fully grown adult man and you murder a helpless young woman, it is different and even more disgusting than, I don't know, an instance of self-defense or something where maybe it is more, technically, is it murder or is it self-defense? It's a different concept. But my point being is you're a fully grown adult man killing a helpless, defenseless, unsuspecting, college-aged woman. On top of that, you're not even, as Joe Biden would say, technically supposed to be here. Now let's break down the rest of this.
I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect.
I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. I'm sorry, but murderers don't deserve my respect, nor yours, even though even you, Joe Biden, don't deserve my respect.
Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. We have to control the border and a more orderly flow, but I don't share his view at all.
They built the country. They built the country. Illegal immigrants built the country? In what world are you living in? Is it a permanent fantasy land for you? Illegal immigrants? No. You want to know what built this country? You want to know what set the foundation for this country to grow? People that moved here from Europe. There was no solidified country. Conquerors. I always hate when people use colonists. We're colonists. No, a conquered people does not make colonialism or colonization. It's conquered. You are conquered. The Native Americans, which I'm not going to agree with everything that people in settler times did, but that's conquered. You were conquered. Not to mention the fact that many Native Americans fought back as well. It was not by any means peaceful. So, it was a war. The point being with this is that Joe Biden will go at lengths to defend this murderer simply because he used the word illegal. Everybody's got a problem with Joe Biden saying illegal to describe the murderer because he is an illegal alien. However, if you go back to 2006, before Biden was as spineless as he is today, he actually had some relatively common sense beliefs on what to do about immigration. And so if you take a look at this clip in which he was on some mainstream media source back in 2006, almost 20 years ago when he was still a senator, this is what Joe Biden had to say back then. Take a look and listen to this.
Can you scare an employer in this country, whether he's an agricultural worker or a housewife, into not hiring an illegal because the punishment's so high that if you get caught,
yes,
it's a huge embarrassment to your family, and you may just get hit with a fine that'll kill you?
Absolutely, you can, and that's what we should do. Well, I think we should do that.
Because you can't catch everybody.
You can't. No, you can't. And the last part of this is that the Democratic position also recognized you got 11 million illegal aliens here. They have to have a way to earn their way into the deal. This is an amnesty. They're required to take 11 years worth. They pay a fine. They got to learn to speak English. They got to pass tests.
I like the English part.
Yeah.
I like the English part. I think if we want the problems of Canada right now, keep encouraging people to keep their foreign language. English is going to unite this country potentially. It always has in the past.
I can't think of a country that has 2 languages as their accepted languages that is doing all that well, including Switzerland and or Canada.
It divides us.
Yeah.
Oh, man. At one point, not only did Joe Biden use unapologetically illegal alien, he also advocated in some way, or at least tangentially, for the idea of ensuring English was the primary language used in America. Nowadays, he apologizes for calling a murderer an illegal. That is the state of our union. Now, I know I will complain, as I did, that this is what the media is focusing on. And I will still say that that's problematic in terms of, yeah, we should look at the state of our border, the state of our economy. Hell, I'd even think that the state of our climate is more important than focusing on the state of the language we're using. But it's ironic how in 2006, Joe Biden focuses on the fact that English should likely be the primary language of the United States. However, nowadays, he gets in trouble for using it himself. And that is more important, the language he used, than the lives lost due to his policy. No human is strictly illegal. Humans are multifaceted. However, an illegal immigrant, by definition, is an illegal immigrant. And the man who allegedly murdered Laken Riley is, in fact, illegal. And when we have a president who rightfully says it the first time, but then decides to kowtow to the mainstream media and the woke mob when questioned on it, the state of our union is apparent. We are weak. We are spineless. And we won't survive much longer if we allow a man like this, a man who is as weak and spineless, because that's the thing, is no matter how much of a spine Donald Trump has, no matter how much of a spine I have, no matter how much of a spine you have, we are only as strong as our weakest link. And unfortunately, one of our weakest links is running this country. And so, the state of our union, it's in peril. And come November of this year, you have a decision. Do you want our state of our union to maintain that way? To be on that track? Or do you want to potentially save it? Ask yourself that question. I know my answer. But let's get to some comments here before I get to the next segment. If you are not quite as Republican or conservative as I am, well, don't worry. The next segment will make you happy, because as much as I'm pissed off at Joe Biden, I'm also pissed off at Republicans, and we're going to talk about that today. Today, Kevin is mad. That should be just the title of the show. Kev is mad. Kev is unhappy because the state of our union is not good. Let's see what you guys had to say in the comments during that last segment. We'll get into the next segment about Katie Britt. Katie Britt. Oh, actually, I have a little thing from the State of the Union to share too at some point, but it's not like that big of a deal. But it also does speak to the state of our union. Before Katie Britt, let's get to some comments here. Everybody keep the comments coming here. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think. Make sure if you're watching anywhere else like Twitter or something, you go to my YouTube channel, Speechless with Kev. I have other content that is also airing, so you can go check it out there. If you're on Rumble, you can comment too. I know a lot of people that are on Rumble right now. Go do that. We'll get to some other things here in a moment. I'm going to go through comments, and even if you're on Twitter, you can comment. Honestly, anywhere you go, you should comment, because let's see what it is. Illegal. Catholic Charities is paying the $8,000 which the government grants them from our tax money. I don't believe this, and I'm a Catholic, and so if you have evidence for this, I would want you to email it to me, which you know my email, Andrea, but for anybody else out there, speechlesskp@gmail.com. Hit me up. Let me know. So we'll talk about some other things here. I've been screaming, get off your butts and do something to everybody for a long time now. That's crazy. There's no way feminism could function the way it does if men weren't complacent. Absolutely. Men need to stand up, and we're going to talk about that. I have things about modern feminism that we're going to talk about in this show today. Stick with me. because I have a lot to talk about today. And if it makes me go 2.5 hours, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it. Mama Carol for president. Absolutely. Maybe. But being president doesn't sound fun. Absolutely. Q South Park. They took our jobs. They took our jobs. Do I have that clip? I thought I used to have that clip in here. I don't, but I used to. Kanye. No, I don't have that one, but I'll get that back here. More comments. Let's go. Make sure you guys are commenting wherever you are, because I will bring it up on screen in between segments to talk about it. That's right. When my house is dirty, I clean it while I'm while I'm bitching. While I'm bitching, probably. Howdy, Jim. Jim, great to see you. Now we have 30 million illegals. It's time to admit immigration and government are failed experiments, and it's time to dissolve both. I think we should dissolve a lot of government. Doesn't mean all of government, Andrea. We need some level of a stabilizer in place, but I do have some level of agreement with you. I'll give you that. I will give you that there's definitely needs a lot of rethinking in terms of what we're doing. Let's see what else we got going on in here. Happy Sunday, everybody. Yes, happy Sunday. Murder is illegal. I know. What a strange concept of the world we live in, right? How strange it is that people see murder as illegal. Now, this next clip that I have when it comes to the State of the Union, before I get to the Republican response, which I will be getting to, we're going to react and talk about Katie Britt, the Republican senator from Alabama, and we're going to talk about her response to the State of the Union. But I also want to share this clip right here before we get to that, of just another example of how incompetent our president is. Just watch this video. You don't even need much commentary from me to understand the importance of it. Take a look and a listen.
For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we faced into an opportunity. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. This year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. Today, COVID no longer controls our lives. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The only nation that can be defined by a single word, possibilities. Actually, I can define it in one word, and I mean this. Possibilities. Possibilities. I'm a capitalist. Look, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. Let's pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. And extend the child tax credit. And let's restore the full child tax credit. Restore that child tax credit. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll see a field of dreams. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams.
I wonder, did Joe Biden's handlers even write a new speech for any of his State of the Unions? For any of them? I don't think so. I don't think so. It would kind of, it would make more sense, because it seems like they just plagiarize themselves year after year after year. And not to mention the fact that, like, he'll bring up things like, I'm a capitalist, I'm a capitalist. You know, it's the idea that if you repeat something enough, maybe people will start to believe it, even though, your policy doesn't really reflect that, Mr. Biden. President Biden. These people, do they think we're stupid? Is that what it is? Do they think that we're stupid? Look, I will not claim to know everything. I will not even claim to be the smartest person in any room. But I know I'm not stupid. But Biden and his cronies seem to think that I am and that you are. Just saying. Makes me angry. It's not supposed to be happening. Look, it makes me angry too, Mama Carol. But what I will say is I think that to some extent it is supposed to be happening. I mean, God has a plan. And to get on my Christian Catholic soapbox for a moment, God has a plan for each and every one of us. God has a plan for this nation. I'm often reminded, this is a tangent I wasn't anticipating going on today, but I'm often reminded of a letter, I believe it was Paul wrote to the Philippians while he was in prison. And he was in prison for declaring Jesus Christ as the Savior, as the Son of God. And he was in prison, in a Roman prison, awaiting a death sentence for his unapologetic and shameless love of Jesus and adoration and proclamation that Jesus was the Son of God. And so he sits there waiting for death, and he's contemplating to himself in this letter to the Philippians. He's at one point he almost sounds, it's not really, but he almost sounds suicidal in the fact that he says that he's wishing for death, that he's praying for it. But he also says that he is happy that he is still here, that he's still alive, sitting in that cell, because he knows that if he is still alive, if he is still on this earth, if he still has his flesh, then he still has a purpose, and God still has a reason for him to be here. And I think there's something powerful in that, in the fact that this man is literally waiting for a death sentence that could come at any time on any day. And he recognizes that his presence has purpose, that there's a reason for it, and that he will fulfill that, whatever it is. And so when we say it's not supposed to be happening, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to. However, it is part of God's plan. It absolutely is part of God's plan. But I'd like to get into this next story as we discuss things that are part of God's plan. And apparently part of God's plan is to absolutely screw the Republican Party when they have literally victory handed to them on a silver platter. They decide to do stupid things that make it so they practically are asking to lose. And this is another example of that. Katie Britt, the Republican senator from Alabama, gave the response to Biden's State of the Union. And many Republicans are saying this is, quote, one of our biggest disasters. And so, because I believe in an educated populace, we are going to react to the entirety of Katie Britt's response, rebuttal to the State of the Union, and break down her performance, the setting, all of the decisions that went into this. And I got to tell you, this is probably one of the cringiest scenes I have ever seen in terms of a rebuttal to any of the State of the Unions I've ever seen. So let's take a look and a listen. And we're going to, like I said, I'll pause frequently. We'll talk about this. It's going to be, strap in your seatbelts, everybody. Get ready, strap in, because we're about to go high octane down the road of stupidity and cringiness. So be ready and stick with me. And in the meantime, also don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bells, hit it to all, because YouTube is making sure that you don't see any of my content. Share this with your friends so they can see the idiocy of both Democrats and Republicans alike and hear how God King Kevin would save this country. Of course, that's a little bit egotistical, but when you watch this, you're going to be like, man, we need anything other than these people. So take a look and a listen at Katie Britt rebutting the State of the Union earlier this week.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the people of the great state of Alabama in the United States Senate. However, that's not the job that matters most. I am a proud wife and mom of 2 school-aged kids. My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
Okay, so here's the thing is a lot of what she's going to say in this, and I'll break down some of the other things. I haven't watched all of it. I'm trying to do a little bit of a reaction video to this, but it's not necessarily going to be wrong, but the delivery is what is awful. Let's first notice, okay, so she's a Republican senator from Alabama. When she speaks, she has a weird, and if you thought that this was good so far, I'm going to break some windows for you. What I mean by that is as soon as I tell you these things, you're going to notice it throughout the rest of the speech. Her breathing, very, very weird, very heavy. She seems to smack her lips in a very weird way. A lot of this seems so unbelievably scripted that it's almost unnatural, or it is unnatural. When she discusses, or when she opens this up with that she's also a mother, it's so clear that this entire thing is a performance, not because she's a good person to rebut the State of the Union, not because she's a profound senator. Yes, she is considered a rising star in the Senate GOP, but it's more so the fact that look at the setting she's currently in. So she's currently in a kitchen. Now, I'm not one to focus on like the feminist ideology that all women need to be working, but you're rebutting the State of the Union. You need not be in a kitchen. You could be in a much more professional place. Along with that, it was also pretty clear that she was picked, and especially with the setting of a kitchen, that she was picked because the one area that Republicans lost most with and lost period with in 2020 was white suburban women. What is the most relatable setting, person, and tone for white suburban women? Exactly when and where Katie Britt is right now, and who Katie Britt is right now. She is essentially, while Republicans will claim that they're against affirmative action and diversity picks, look at this. How is this not, at least based on all of the framing of this, how is this not a diversity pick of affirmative action? You'd have to be stupid not to see it. Or a Democrat. Same thing. Keep watching.
I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this one. You know, this is where our family has tough conversations. It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we share the good, the bad, and the ugly of our days. It's where we laugh together. And it's where we hold each other's hands and pray for God's guidance. And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight, the American family needs to have a tough conversation because the truth is, we're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams. My American dream allowed me, the daughter of two small business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40. Growing up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never could have imagined what my story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime, it's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families.
Okay, that's a really, and I don't know where she's going to go with this, and we'll react to that too, but have you guys started noticing the breathing? The breathing is like very, very odd in all of this. It honestly seems like this is the definition of if we got like, this is Karen trying to talk to the manager. This is the definition of that for the Republican Party. It's sad, it's desperate, and it's unfortunate. And honestly, this is not career ending, but it'll take quite a while for Katie Britt to come back from this. She looks like she's auditioning for the Real Housewives of whatever because she's focusing on the dramatics and the theatrics, and it's a poor audition. It reminds me, if you guys have ever seen Pitch Perfect, this reminds me of a spoken word version of all the people that were over singing and overacting in their auditions to be part of a college a cappella group because they were so desperate for people to like them. That's exactly what the energy Katie Britt is giving off right now. Keep listening and watching.
The true, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this. Our families are hurting. Our country can do better. And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border to see it. President Biden inherited the most secure border of all time.
President Biden inherited it. The most secure border of all time. That's exactly how she sounds. I'm not even kidding. Like, I mean, you guys just heard it. Like, tell me, is that not exactly how she sounds? Like, I'm winded just trying to talk like that. Like, you sound weak, fragile. And for a time in which we need to be highlighting the fragility of our current president, to have somebody who is like who speaks, sounds, and looks like a porcelain doll, not a good look for the Republican Party. Keep listening and watching. We still have more time.
But minutes after taking office, he suspended all deportations. He halted construction of the border wall. And he announced a plan to give amnesty to millions. We know that President Biden didn't just create this border crisis. He invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. She told me not just that she was raped every day, but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room, and they sent men through that door over and over again for hours and hours on end. We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country. This is the United States of America, and it is past time, in my opinion, that we start acting like it. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable. And the truth is, it is almost entirely preventable. From fentanyl poisonings to horrific murders, there are empty chairs tonight at kitchen tables just like this one because of President Biden's senseless border policies. Just think about Laken Riley. In my neighboring state of Georgia, this beautiful 22-year-old nursing student went out on a jog one morning, but she never got the opportunity to return home. She was brutally murdered by one of the millions of illegal border crossers President Biden chose to release into our homeland. Y'all, as a mom, I can't quit thinking about this. I mean, this could have been my daughter. This could have been yours.
Her voice consistently is shaky. And here's the thing is this is a time in which emotion, and at least in terms of the narrative she's trying to spin, this is a time in which emotion could be necessary. However, when her voice has been so shaky the entire time, it doesn't feel believable. None of this feels genuine. She feels very, very cookie cutter, robotic, and poor, piss poor, honestly, in which, once again, a time to where we are meant to be rebutting the failures of Joe Biden. We aren't. Instead, the narrative that's taken over is how poor her response is. Keep looking and listening.
And tonight, President Biden finally said her name. But he refused to take responsibility for his own actions. Mr. President, enough is enough. Innocent Americans are dying, and you only have yourself to blame. Fulfill your oath of office, reverse your policies, end this crisis, and stop the suffering. Sadly, we know that President Biden's failures don't stop there. His reckless spending dug our economy into a hole and sent the cost of living through the roof. We have the worst inflation in 40 years and the highest credit card debt in our nation's history. Let that sink in. Hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet today. And with soaring mortgage rates and sky-high childcare costs, they're also struggling to how to plan for tomorrow. The American people are scraping by while President Biden proudly proclaims that Bidenomics is working. Goodness, y'all, bless his heart. We know better. I'll never forget stopping at a gas station in Chilton County one evening. The gentleman working the counter told me that after retiring, he had to pick up a job in his 70s so that he didn't have to choose between going hungry or going without his medication. He said, I did everything right. I did everything I was told to do. I worked hard, I saved, I was responsible. He's not alone. I hear similar concerns from fellow parents, whether I am walking with my friends or whether I'm at my kids' games. But let's be honest, it's been a minute since Joe Biden pumped gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart. Meanwhile, the rest of us see our dollar and we know it doesn't go as far. We see it every day. And despite what he tells you, our communities are not safer. For years, the left has coddled criminals and defunded the police, all while letting repeat offenders walk free.
Look, here's the other thing when it comes to the things she's saying, because I will not disagree with almost anything that she's saying. I know that the story she told earlier has been in question regarding the illegal immigrants she talked to, all that stuff. But I won't disagree with the majority of like the things that she says about what Joe Biden's doing wrong. The problem is the delivery of all of this. Not only does it seem so forced, it's also just like, it's robotic. It does not, she does not know. She was given a task and she did what was specifically asked of her. She's not, but the problem is that we don't understand exactly what the task is. And I want to talk about that more, but I want to make sure that we listen to all of this because the content of what she's saying isn't wrong. It's the way in which she's delivering it. She sounds like a Karen. She's not relatable. She is repeating the talking points almost in a condescending fashion, that of a kindergarten teacher. She in and of herself sounds like the elite that she claims to have an issue with. Keep watching.
The result is tragic, but foreseeable. From our small towns to America's most iconic city streets, life is getting more and more dangerous. And unfortunately, President Biden's weakness isn't just hurting families here at home. He is making us a punchline on the world stage. Look, where I'm from, your word is your bond. But for 3 years, the president has demonstrated that America's word doesn't mean what it used to. From abandoning our allies in his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan to desperately pushing another dangerous deal with Iran. President Biden has failed. We've become a nation in retreat, and the enemies of freedom, they see an opportunity. Putin's brutal aggression in Europe has put our allies on the brink. Iran's terrorist proxies have slaughtered Israeli, Jews, and American citizens. They've targeted commercial shipping, and they've attacked our troops nearly 200 times since October, killing 3 U.S. soldiers and 2 Navy SEALs. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party is undercutting America's workers. China is buying up our farmland, spying on our military installations, and spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. You see, the CCP knows that if it conquers the minds of our next generation, it conquers America. And what does President Biden do? Well, he bans TikTok for government employees, but creates an account for his own campaign. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. Look, we all recall when presidents faced national security threats with strength and resolve. That seems like ancient history. Right now, our commander-in-chief is not in command. The free world deserves better than a dithering and diminished leader. America deserves leaders who recognize that secure borders, stable prices, safe streets, and a strong defense are actually the cornerstones of a great nation. Just ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 3 years ago? There's no doubt we're at a
See, that's also a stupid question to say right now, because the thing is that if you look 3 years ago, if you look what was happening in 2020 and 2021, we were shut down. The world was shut down. COVID. That's why you need to ask. That's why in this terms of this election, usually the general question is, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago under the last president? Well, in the current state that we're in, while the economy is crap, and it was crap back then too, back during COVID when Joe Biden was just taking office, people were laid off, people didn't have jobs. It wasn't great because of the manufactured crisis from the Democratic Party. So don't ask that question. Your question, here's the problem with all of this. And we still have 5 minutes left, and I'm going to let us watch it and ensure that we get a full understanding of what the Republicans had to say in the rebuttal to this. But the general fact of this, and I'm going to say this again later, is that Joe Biden's purpose for the State of the Union this year, and I said this during the State of the Union when I did that live stream, the purpose for it is that he needs to say, look at all my accomplishments. I'm finishing off my first term this year. You should reelect me for another. Now, he didn't do a great job of that, I'll admit, but he did a better job than he has in the past. In the fact that he was pumped full of whatever he was pumped full of. And he was able to get sentences out. Republicans, if that is Joe Biden's mission to say, hey, look at my accomplishments, reelect me, your job in this instance should be, if you're smart, if you're not an absolute idiot, if you're not a diversity pick, essentially, to try to boost your numbers where you're losing, Katie Britt, then what your job should be is to say, hey, everything he just said could be better. If not, it's terrible, and he's a liar. Look back to when life was good. The last time you were happy. Don't ask, how were you 4 years ago? Were you better off 4 years ago? Ask, how did you feel under President Trump? Most of the time, go back to like 2018, peak Trump, 2017, 2018, first 2 years of presidency. Well, yeah, we had like Paul Ryan and Swampies in the House. We had a majority in the House, a close minority in the Senate, and the presidency. How did you feel then? Or just ask people, when's the last time you were happy with the way the country was going? When was that? Because if it wasn't under Joe Biden, then maybe you shouldn't vote for Joe Biden again. Respond with the same intention that Joe Biden is having when he's giving his State of the Union. The point of the State of the Union was to be a campaign speech, and so the rebuttal should be similar. But instead, they follow this cookie cutter formation that we're going to talk about here. Let's finish off more of this, of the rebuttal.
A crossroads, and it doesn't have to be this way. We all feel it. But here's the good news. We, the people, are still in the driver's seat. We get to decide whether our future will grow brighter or whether we'll settle for an America in decline. Well, I know which choice our children deserve, and I know the choice the Republican Party is fighting for. We are the party of hard-working parents and families, and we want to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive. And we want families to grow. It's why we strongly support continued nationwide access to in vitro fertilization. We want to help loving moms and dads bring precious life into this world. Wesley and I believe there is no greater blessing in life than our children. And that's why tonight, I want to make a direct appeal to the parents out there, and in particular to my fellow moms, many of whom I know will be up tossing and turning at 2 a.m., wondering how you're going to be in 3 places at once and then somehow still get dinner on the table. First of all, we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you. I know you're frustrated. I know you're probably disgusted by most of what you see going on in Washington, and I'll be really honest with you, you're not wrong for feeling that way. Look, I get it. The task in front of us isn't an easy one, but I can promise you one thing. It is worth it.
Her voice is so shaky. It's hard to take. Like I've said this whole time, it's hard to take her seriously. And along with that, like Andrea said right here, OMG, you can't be serious. It is so abundantly clear. It is so abundantly clear that she is pandering to the Karen white mom audience, suburban white mom audience. She's pandering to them, similar to when Kamala talks more black in front of an audience, or when Hillary or any of the Democrats wear like the African garb and kneel with their fist up. It's pandering. And the sad thing is this is what Republicans aren't supposed to be. If we're going to stand against CRT, DEI, all that crap that's inserting itself, then stop playing the identity politics. Katie Britt could have done an amazing job. And I'm going to tell you exactly how she could should have done an amazing job after we finish this.
So I am asking you, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, get into the arena. Every generation has been called to do hard things. American greatness rests in the fact that we always answer that call. It's who we are. Never forget, we are steeped in the blood of patriots who overthrew the most powerful empire in the world. We walk in the footsteps of pioneers who tamed the wild. We now carry forward the same flame of freedom as the liberators of an oppressed Europe. We continue to draw courage from those who bent the moral arc of the universe. And when we gaze upon the heavens, never forget that our DNA contains the same ingenuity that put man on the moon. America has been tested before, and every single time we've emerged unbowed and unbroken. Our history has been written with the grit of men and women who got knocked down. But we know their stories because they did not stay down. We are here because they stood back up. So now it's our turn, our moment to stand up and prove ourselves worthy of protecting the American dream. Together, we can reawaken the heroic spirit of a great nation. Because America, we don't just have a rendezvous with destiny. We take destiny's hand and we lead it. Our future starts around kitchen tables just like this, with moms and dads just like you. And you are why I believe with every fiber of my being that despite the current state of our union, our best days are still ahead. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless these United States of America.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
Thanks for watching. No, and so like I said, not even much more to say about this absolute dribble that was a pander to the white suburban mom. Like Andrea said, it was absolutely pathetic. And once again, Republicans are asking to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And that's exactly what's going on here right now with Katie Britt. We could have chosen somebody stronger. We could have chosen a way, a speech, a delivery that actually begged for the American people to consider that maybe voting against somebody because they say mean things or because the media, the mainstream media tells you they're racist. Maybe you should reconsider because the state of our current union is abysmal, but instead we chose a robotic cookie cutter person to read off a screen for some reason she's auditioning for like the local theater's version of Annie. Like, what? Who thought that was a good idea? And then you'll even have some conservative commentators, some that I admire, I'll admit, that will come out and try to claim that, oh, well, everybody who responds to the State of the Union, it's a tough job. Everybody who does it has a hard time, like Ben Shapiro. Take a look at this clip.
Actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
Okay, she started off at like a 7 in the weirdness. Like a little more weird than your typical 5 politician weird. And then it just kept getting weirder. So here she was on the Southern border. Again, everything she's saying is right. I just don't know why we needed the audition tape. Why? Why is it? But by the way, this is like the black hole politics. If you give the State of the Union response address, you're headed for the garbage can, politically speaking, in the Republican Party. I mean, whether you're Marco Rubio or Bobby Jindal, like whoever gives this speech is just doomed to failure. In any case, Here was Katie Britt. And again, it wasn't even what she was saying. What she was saying was total.
See, this is the problem, is that now we have people, and this was not just Ben Shapiro. And again, I love Ben Shapiro. I think he does an amazing, I mean, he's much smarter than me. I will say any day of the week, he's smarter than me, better political mind. He graduated from law school when he was like 22, if not even younger. No, very smart individual. But I think he gets this wrong. And Glenn Beck said the same thing. Dan Bongino, there was Charlie Kirk. All of them said the same thing, that if you give the State of the Union address, you're doomed to fail. That this is or if you give the response, the rebuttal, then you're doomed to fail. It happened with all these other people. Well, first off, I thought Sarah Huckabee Sanders did an amazing thing. I don't know. Maybe it's something about the name of Sarah, but does an amazing job. But I think the problem that we have is not the rebuttal in and of itself. It's the fact that we are not rebutting in the same way or in the right way. That's the problem. What is a rebuttal? What is the point of a rebuttal, everybody? A rebuttal is something you give in a debate. It's something you give in a debate when one side presents their argument and then the other side gives theirs, right? So here's what you're meant to do: is you have to listen to who is originating the argument, who is starting it. And then when you listen to theirs, you take that and you rebut that argument. And the problem of what Katie Britt did, and what all these other people that have done that have made it wrong, as Ben Shapiro said, that people ruin their careers a little bit and have to recoup after the rebuttal, is that you don't actually listen to what he's saying. It seems like a simple concept, and why the Republican Party can't figure it out, I don't know. But if you're going to rebut a State of the Union, maybe you should actually listen to it. Take the quotes. If you had listened to that, if you had actually listened to the State of the Union that Joe Biden did, and you took notes throughout it, and then you trumped the speech, what I mean by that is you just kind of ad-libbed it, and you ad-libbed the rebuttal, and you were just like, man, look at all this stupid crap that were lies from Joe Biden. You could have a team of people. This is a United States senator. I guarantee you she has an entire staff that's on the other side of the camera sitting there right now. And she could have that entire staff who's looking at it and saying, hey, maybe we should just fact check what that guy said and give that speech for 15 minutes. And then the American people will actually have both sides of the argument. So when he comes out and Joe Biden comes out swinging pretty weakly, being like, look how many jobs we've created under my presidency, and then falls asleep, then you can come back and you should say, hey, it's not really considered creating jobs when jobs are just coming back because people were laid off during COVID and companies didn't have the ability to pay when they weren't making the same revenue. That's not job creation. That's job reconciliation that would have happened whether or not you, Trump, or Elmo was flipping president. Maybe that's what we should have for the rebuttal. Instead of Katie Britt up here like, hello, everybody. I'm a white suburban mom. Please vote for Trump. Please vote for Republicans as white suburban people. Maybe if you had some level of humanity within you and you weren't a robotic stone like statue, then we could win. Then we could have decent politicians. But no, we're not going to listen to a 23-year-old conservative college activist. No. We're going to do what has lost us every election since 2018. That's what we're going to do. If you can't tell, I'm a little mad. I'm a little mad at this stuff. And the thing is that now, when it comes to Katie Britt, there's all those other issues that I laid out. There's all the issues of how Republicans are seeking to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. But the thing is that it also makes it so that we can't even focus. While the media, when they talk about the State of the Union, they're focusing on Joe Biden talking or using the word illegals, but they're not just focusing on that. They're not just focusing on that. Now they're also focusing on the crappy response from Katie Britt. because whatever they can do to avoid actually focusing on the terrible, terrible speech and the terrible state of this union, whatever they can do to avoid that, that's what they want to do. And so then you have Scarlett Johansson. Yes, I'm seriously talking about the actress, like the Marvel actress that plays Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, ScarJo, going on Saturday Night Live, acting like Katie Britt, and doing, honestly, one of the funniest things I've seen come out of Saturday Night Live in a long time, because she accurately depicts how even I feel about Katie Britt. And so I'm going to play some of this clip for you. I will tell you, NBC is notorious for copyright violations. So if it gets shut off or something, I'm going to try to come back, but I need you guys to see this. I need you to see this is what the media will focus on Republicans, because we set ourselves up for this failure. Take a look and a listen to Scarlett Johansson pretending to be Katie Britt last night on Saturday Night Live.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the great people of Alabama. But tonight, I'll be auditioning for the part of Scary Mom. And I'll be performing an original monologue called This Country is Hell. You see, I'm not just a senator. I'm a wife, a mother, and the craziest bitch in the Target parking lot. I'm worried about the future of our children, and this is why I've invited you into this strange, empty kitchen.
Exactly. And see, this is the thing, is that even unfunny SNL will be able to recognize the problems that the Republican Party has in not being able to choose somebody for the rebuttal, or even choose a format for the rebuttal that is conducive to what will resonate with the American people. Look, Joe Biden did a great job for the State of the Union. Look, the State of the Union is not good. And if you were to ask anybody what the State of the Union is, it's not good. But when I say he did a great job, here's what I mean. Think back to 2022. Okay, 2022, we had obviously all those races. We had Senate races, congressional races. Think about Herschel Walker versus Raphael Warnock down in Georgia. They had one debate against each other. Herschel Walker, prior to that debate, told media sources, and I thought this was genius. I talked about it on my radio show at the time. He told media sources, he said, "Hey, everybody, I'm not the smartest guy. I've had a lot of concussions. I was a football player. I'm Herschel Walker. So I'm probably not going to do very good at the debate. But like, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to defend my beliefs and everything." And no, Herschel Walker didn't win that election. However, when he got up on that stage and he did okay, it seemed like he did amazing, because the standard was set so low. And so when Joe Biden, the standard is set low for that guy. I mean, we set the bar so low that he just steps right over it. All he's got to do is get up there and form coherent sentences for most of it, and he exceeds the expectations. Now, Republicans, we're handed on a silver platter the opportunity. We are given the layup, like it is an open, we are open right down the middle. All you got to do is pass it to Michael Jordan and he will dunk it on anybody in front of him. And yet somehow we pass it to like the 6-year-old sitting in the front row and we're like, oh, maybe he'll get it. No, and when Michael Jordan is right there. And so we can't even score the damn basket on like some like Make-A-Wish kid who's playing against Michael Jordan. If you guys are seeing this in my head the way I'm seeing it, then you think it's really funny. But that's really how it is. We have had every opportunity to win, and we don't. And now people ask the question, and I see you guys coming through in the comments, and I'm bringing them on screen as I see them because they're worth reacting to. This is why Republicans lose. Absolutely. Hope not. Maybe she'll be a Democrat now. I don't know. A rhino. Maybe. I've never heard of her. This is pathetic. You guys are having some amazing comments here, and keep them coming, but I keep getting the question from people. A real question I keep getting is RFK Jr. going to take votes from Republicans, or is he going to take votes from Democrats? who is he going to hurt more in the election? And if you listen to a video that I did earlier on my show months ago, polls show that he's likely to take more from Biden. But in terms of the State of the Union, there were 3 states of the Union that were released and watched significantly on Thursday night. We had Joe Biden's, we had the rebuttal, which we just reacted to and it was terrible. And then we have RFK Jr.'s. So let's take a look and a listen and react a bit to RFK Jr.'s State of the Union. And stay tuned, keep watching through this because we're going to react to this, but we also have some things to talk about when it comes to Women's History Month. It is now Women's History Month, and I have a lot to say about that, but keep the comments coming, everybody. I'll bring them on screen, give you a shout out. And by the way, if you want me to do some more extra TikTok reactions or you want to be involved in the show, consider maybe contributing to the show through Venmo, Cash App, or you could send a super chat on YouTube. And if you do that, I will do whatever if you want me to do a TikTok reaction, a reaction to something you have, or you want to come onto the show and share your opinion on anything or anything that I'm talking about, you're more than welcome to do so. All you got to do is send a super chat of any amount, Venmo, Cash App. I'll be checking it while we watch some of this. Any amount to support the show so I can invest in equipment, so I can do more. And one person that I do have to shout out that does a lot to support the show is Freedom 2.0. Check out Freedom 2.0. If you go onto Freedom 2.0's website, their water website, and you comment, or not comment, if you use the code breakaway at checkout, you'll get 15% off. It keeps me hydrated through all these things. We can watch RFK's response to the State of the Union while I drink it. But if you want to be in any way involved in the show, if you want me to react to something, react to more TikToks, if you want to be involved in the show and come on, all you got to do, support the show, Venmo, Cash App, Super Chat, membership, anything like that. And I'll be able to see it and I'd appreciate it. But let's get on right here to RFK's response to the State of the Union. This is RFK Jr.'s State of the Union address. Here we go.
Kennedy Jr., and I'm running as an independent candidate for President of the United States. I grew up in an America that seemed to have achieved its promise as an exemplary nation. Modern democracy had spread from one nation, ours, in 1776 to 6 by 1865 and to 190 by the 1960s. We had become the city on the hill. We were a moral authority around the globe. Our government, institutions, our Congress, the court, the regulatory agencies, and even the American press were renowned for their integrity, and they were revered worldwide. Other nations wanted our American leadership. They knew the difference between leadership and bullying, which is something our current leaders seem to have forgotten. We were the template of liberty, proof that for a country to thrive, its people must be free. Free to speak, free to worship, free to build great companies, free to start small businesses. We were the freest country in the world, and by no coincidence, also the most prosperous. Working Americans could provide for their families on a single salary. They could buy a home, raise a family, save for retirement without mountains of debt. We made the best music. We made the best movies. We made gold standard automobiles that everybody in the world wanted. We made blue jeans. We reconstructed Europe. We put men on the moon. We have the world's healthiest, best educated children. Our productivity, ingenuity, our can-do spirit were the envy of the world. We had confidence in our strength, our capacity, and the limitless potential of our country. Yeah, we had serious racial and environmental problems, but in the heady days of my youth, the environmental movement and the civil rights movement were picking up steam. My father and some of his allies were fighting to eliminate the last pockets of hunger in Appalachia.
Look, so this was well produced and released differently than obviously the rebuttal was. But here's the thing, is you want to know what RFK Jr. right now is saying in all of this? He's not saying it verbatim, but what he's saying is make America great again. He's saying that. He's saying, in my youth, America was great. We were united. We had some problems, but we were working on them, and we had a more understood version of left and right and Democrat and Republican, and like we were working on things, and things were, but overall, like things were pretty good. And so vote for me to consider. And so think about that as we continue to watch this. But that's the message that he's kind of saying is make America great again. What do you guys think of this? Leave it in the comments.
In the Mississippi Delta and on the Indian reservations. And we became for the first time a true constitutional democracy in this country with all races voting and holding political office. Other countries aspired to be like us, and our children grew up proud of their passport, proud of their flag. My uncle, President Kennedy, left us a legacy of peace and the hope of ending the arms race and winding down the Cold War. Those were the traditions of freedom, prosperity, and peace that my father, my uncle, and Martin Luther King Jr. were striving to protect and advance. In the half century since their deaths, we've lost touch with that vision for our country. And I want to tell you right now that we can still restore that America, the America that almost was, and yet may be. But we have to start by being honest with ourselves. Neither my uncle nor my father would recognize the version of America that we have today. We become a nation of chronic illness, of violence, of loneliness, depression, and division, and poverty. Our great cities are becoming tent encampments, modern-day Hoovervilles filled with undocumented immigrants and dispossessed Americans and people living in their cars, plagued by mental illness and addiction and despair. Our border has come under the control of criminal drug cartels that traffic in desolation and fentanyl and in busloads of desperate human beings. Our children are drowning in a crisis of alienation, of dispossession, and complete disconnection from their communities. We've lost far more of our young people to drugs in the last decade than in the 20-year Vietnam War. We've printed 9 centuries worth of money in a little over a decade and spent $8 trillion on regime change wars. Those wars have made America less safe, our country less strong, and the world far less stable, while sending prices through the roof as our infrastructure falls apart. Tens of millions of young Americans no longer even dream of owning their own home. What happened to America, the land of opportunity, where you could be sure that if you worked hard and played by the rules, that you would have a decent life? All the new wealth of the last generation has gone to the billionaires and to transnational corporations, while our tattered middle class, our infrastructure, our industry have been hollowed out from the inside. Instead of promise, we've left our kids sick and drowning in debt. The public debt has gone from about $5 trillion under President George W. Bush to $34 trillion today, and U.S. household debt is at a record high of $17.3 trillion. If you include discouraged workers, our true unemployment rate is 23%. Young parents face housing, grocery, and childcare costs that are unaffordable. Too many Americans are living bleak and hopeless lives, dreading the one medical emergency or the car repair that will tip them over the edge into homelessness. We rank 40th globally in our people's health and wellness. Out of the richest countries in the world, the United States is 35th in child poverty rates, just above Mexico. We rank 36th in literacy and 45th in press freedom. We have one of the highest cancer rates in the world, and our life expectancy now ranks 59th, according to the World Bank. That's right behind Algeria, which spends less than 1/30th per capita of what we spend.
So here's the thing that's kind of very smart about the way that RFK Jr. is approaching this is he's taking you on a roller coaster ride. And what he's really trying to do is through video and through, again, he is not the best speaker, as one of my viewers pointed out. Amazing comment in the fact that, yeah, you wouldn't want him to be president because you don't want to have to listen to him anymore. Funny. I get it. He doesn't have a very strong voice, period. I don't know exactly what the reason for that is. I'm sure I could look it up. But when you watch this video and he takes you through a roller coaster, he takes you, here's all the problems that are happening. He's taking you, this is the downward. And then he's like, but we could fix it. And then here's how we're going to fix it. And you hit the peak, and then you go back down. And here's more of the problems that are currently going. And when he lists the problems, he's not specifically saying, look at what the Democrats are doing wrong or look at what the Republicans are doing wrong. But what he is doing is he's saying, look what people on one side are doing, or like, look at the problems that are being caused from this issue and look at the problems that are being caused from this issue. And he's not focusing significantly on one party or the other. It's very smart. And we'll break down it a little bit more as we finish this off, but keep listening.
But even these grim figures hide the full picture of our dire health crisis. We now have the worst health outcomes in the rich world, the highest maternal mortality rates, the highest number of gun deaths per capita, and the highest number of teen pregnancies. We lead the world in obesity and chronic disease. According to CDC, 60% of Americans have at least one chronic condition. When my uncle was president, only 6% of Americans had chronic disease. And all of these plights fall heaviest on our young people. 4 in 10 of them suffer depression, and half of them have considered suicide. 1 in 10 has anxiety. 1 in 10 has ADHD. 1 in 5 is obese. It's time for us to say enough is enough. We were once a free and thriving nation, the healthiest and strongest in the world. What we once were, we can be again. How do I know that? It's because everywhere I go in this country, I see a profound determination among Americans to heal. We might have become the sickest country on earth, but we also have the most ingenious healers, both inside and outside conventional medicine. We may have sky-high levels of depression and addiction, but we also have innovators who have opened up new frontiers in recovery. We have some of the world's most depleted agricultural soils, but also some of the world's most innovative and energetic regenerative farmers. We have serious economic problems, but we also have the brightest and most ambitious entrepreneurs.
Okay, once again, notice that roller coaster. It's we have the economic problems, we have great things, we have bad things, we have good things, we have bad things, we have good things. And that's what he's trying to do. Is he's creating geniusly this we have good things, we have bad things, and they come from both the left and the right. But it's not about Republican, Democrat, left or right. What we really need is somebody who is outside of all of that. Oh my gosh. I'm an independent. That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying. Keep watching and notice it.
We face hunger and homelessness, and yet we meet it with the highest philanthropic rates in the world and bottomless kindness and compassion. We may be on the mat today, but we can be on our feet and happy and healthy and strong again with good leadership tomorrow. Our people and our system were built for resilience. And here's the most important thing I want to tell you about the state of our union. Our nation seems more divided than ever, but Americans everywhere want to heal that divide. Our nation has become artificially divided by political forces that can survive only when we, the people, are at war with each other. People are tired of being manipulated by fear. We learned that lesson during COVID. We recognize that the same techniques of manipulating fear are being used by elites today to corral us into voting for one political candidate or the other. Americans are tired of these dire warnings that to preserve democracy itself, you better vote for our guy. I can tell you that in every state of this union, people are rejecting fear-mongering. 80% of Americans say they don't want to be forced to choose in this election between the lesser of two evils. They're tired of voting against something or someone. I see it in the crowds of mixed Republicans and Democrats and independents who attend my rallies, that a growing number of Americans are rejecting divisiveness. They're ready to unite, to rebuild this country, and to fulfill the promise of the America of my youth. They're ready to vote for something and for someone they like, for someone who represents hope and healing, for someone with an inspiring vision for America's future, for a future that they can believe in.
Isn't it crazy? There's only 30 seconds left, but isn't it crazy? This is exactly what I said was going to happen. What did I say was going to happen? Rewind. If you want to rewind 5 minutes in this video and you will see me. If you're old enough to remember, you will see me saying he's going to take us on a roller coaster of look at all the problems, look at all these good things, look at all these problems, look at all these good things. Each side is causing all these issues. Look, there's one person. There's one person that will bridge the gap, that will be able to solve this issue. This is a stellar genius campaign ad released as his reflection on the State of the Union from an independent candidate. RFK is an independent candidate unlike any other. And while this is predictable to somebody like me, and when I say somebody like me, I have a degree in this. Like, this is what I study. I study political advertising. I have degrees in politics and marketing. This is my thing. This is what I know. And so I could predict this, but it's genius in the fact that what he is doing is he is trying to train your brain into thinking, look, One side causes issues but does good things. The other side also causes issues and does good things. But we need somebody in the middle, and that is what he is selling himself as. Now, here's the thing, is if you look into who RFK is, yes, maybe he is a vaccine skeptic. Maybe you agree with him on some of his anti-government sentiment on some social issues. However, I guarantee you he would still be totally for pushing the LGBTQ agenda to your children in schools. He would be for funding our federal agencies, for expanding the power of government. Be careful what you wish for. But in terms of this advertisement, we're going to talk about that in 30 seconds.
So that's the State of the Union that I want to bring you today. It's a nation that hungers to heal. It's a nation ready to face reality, to rebuild, to end the forever foreign wars, to clean out the corrupt Washington establishment, and to turn again toward peace, freedom, good health, and prosperity. When we unite in that vision, we're going to be unstoppable. Thank you, and God bless you.
It's a very good video, as I said. And when we discuss the importance of this, we need to go back, because here's the thing. RFK Jr. is likely not going to win the presidency. But we need to ask ourselves the question, as I did in a previous video months ago, who will he take more votes from? Because I am willing to bet RFK Jr., with the name recognition and the ability of himself to market who he is as a candidate, and the funding that he has, not only self-funding, but his well-connected cronies, he will be able to put up a fight that will take a substantial percentage of the vote away from one candidate or the other. Now, a few months ago, there was a poll released that showed he seemed to take more from Biden than he did from Trump. However, let's look at the State of the Union and that night, the Thursday night that we've been covering for the last hour and a half. You had Biden, who overperformed. And again, the bar was low. He stepped right over it, but he overperformed. You had Katie Britt, who did not represent Republicans well. And then you had RFK Jr., who presents the roller coaster of emotions that is American politics in today's day and age, shows that each side has positive and negative qualities that the moderate and independent can understand. He presents it in a way that's easily digestible by even the most politically inept individuals. And he presents it also to where, hey, don't necessarily look at Republican or Democrat, maybe look at me. Just a guy who sees the roller coaster that you do. Also, look at me, the guy who remembers the America that once was. That wasn't perfect. That could have been better, but was better than what we saw today in many ways. And indirectly says, make America great again. Basically, that's almost exactly what RFK Jr. said. And so when you consider 2024 and you consider the question of who will RFK take more votes from, if we continue to put Katie Britt on a pedestal, if we continue to act scripted and out of touch ourselves while also calling Biden out of touch, and the other candidate that could be taking votes away from us is saying, make America great again, which is essentially the slogan of our candidate, who will he take more votes from? Who will the independent take more votes from? And thus, who will win if more votes are taken for Make America Great Again? Who will win? Who will lose? So consider that. Politics is calculated. Politics is not, oh, well, either the Republican or the Democrats win. No. If RFK takes enough from the MAGA crowd, if you have enough people who are hesitant because Orange Man bad, and Donald Trump says things that hurts my feelings, then maybe there's a chance that if he appeals to the Make America Great Again sentiment just enough, that Biden pulls off the win. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not going to predict that future. I'm not going to claim to. But be cautious and be aware, because it's a possibility. And I know I've gone on many tirades so far tonight. This was brilliant by RFK. Absolutely. And this is what I'm saying is I'm not saying this in support of RFK or in support of any candidate. It's the fact that we need to open our minds and be genuinely skeptical of the content that is being put out there, because that will allow you to see these people for who they really are. RFK is not this man, God, giant that some people see him as. Donald Trump isn't either, and Joe Biden isn't either. They are all men created by God, maybe with a predisposition to power, fame, fortune, etc. However, they are all just men, and see them as such. It's important to do so. Between cancel culture and lawsuits, I don't know anymore. Absolutely. Stop frivolous lawsuits. Biden is going to win because he is a commie dictator who will not relinquish power. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know about this one either. You made me crave ice cream. Had to get some caramel. We're going to get into some other stories here too, but I want to remind everybody, I have multiple TikToks I could be reacting to, multiple things I could be reacting to. If you want to ensure that I react to and stay on as long as you would like me to, please consider supporting the show through Venmo, Cash App, which I can bring back on the screen here, or maybe send a super chat and I will bring it on screen if you have anything specific to say. If you want to join the show, consider supporting the show in any of those ways, and I will ensure that you get a chance to see all of what I have planned. I'd really appreciate it though, because I want to keep growing this show and I want to make it better. I do. And some of the people that support growing this show and making it better are Freedom 2.0. Freedom 2.0, right there. They have a lot of fun slogans on here too. This is bottled with liberal tears. Bottled with liberal tears. I love it. I would love it if this was genuinely liberal tears. It also says things on it. You probably can't see it, but if you look at there, it says like America F yeah. It says not trash, clean AF. It's funny. It's quirky. It's smart. I love me some Freedom 2.0, but I'm going to get... That's the state of our union, though. That is the state of our union. We covered a lot of what the state of the union is. What do you guys think? Did I miss anything? Is there anything more with the state of the union that I should have covered? I don't know. Maybe. But we'll talk about some more. I don't know if you guys heard that, because I think I still do have the screen shared, but I am pulling up some things to celebrate International Women's Day. We had International Women's Day recently. And so I do have some TikToks and things for International Women's Day. Once again, I'd really appreciate it if you guys would consider supporting the show in any way. I'm going to leave that up on screen a little bit longer. But I do want to, while I discuss International Women's Day, I have some things to react to celebrate women, in kind of a fun way. But I do want to share this real quick on screen, because tomorrow, this is a big announcement, everybody. Big announcement. Drum roll. Somebody get the drums going. I have an announcement. I have a fun interview tomorrow that I want all of you to tune into. And so to make sure you don't miss it tomorrow, make sure that you guys like this channel, like my Twitter, wherever you're watching from, like it, subscribe to it, ring your notification bells, put them to all. Do not miss a minute. Make sure you have notifications turned on for my channel, because you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. I have 2 real women, biological women, that'll be joining me on this show, on this channel, to discuss with me the amazing work that they did. I don't know if you guys heard this story, but St. Mary's College, at one point, which is a Catholic women's-only college, right by Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. You know, Pee Pee Butt, the former mayor, Yeah, that town. They were going to allow biological men, transgenders, to attend their women's only university. And there were two girls, Claire and Macy, who stood up against this and led the charge to ensure that biological men were not allowed at this college, at this university. And they will be joining me tomorrow night on Speechless to discuss the work that they did. They're going to come on the show tomorrow night. They're going to talk with me about this whole story, about them and the work they've done. It's amazing. They're honestly heroes for the genuine women's rights movement, like the real women's rights movement, not women like, oh my God, the pay gap or hashtag girl boss energy or anything like that, or girl bossing too close to the sun, any of that kind of crap. No. These women actually stand up for real women, and they're coming on this show tomorrow night. So make sure you don't forget to like this channel, subscribe to it, tune in obviously right now. You could subscribe, you can comment, you can share this, but make sure you turn your notification bells to all so that you don't miss a minute. Tomorrow evening, it should be around 6 p.m. Central Standard Time is when they are coming on, and I'm going to talk with them. And your comments, it's going to be live, so you can leave comments, questions, anything, and you'll be able to ask them live about what they think about anything. We're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow night. So make sure you don't miss a minute of that. Make sure, like, subscribe, comment, share this with your friends. Please, please, please share it. And if you would consider maybe supporting the show so I can keep bringing on some amazing guests like Claire and Macy, then we will, then it would just help me grow. It would help me be better than ever. But to celebrate International Women's Day, which was just a few years ago, or just a few days ago, as well as, sorry, I've got a lot of adrenaline right now, if you can't tell, but to celebrate International Women's Day, as well as just women in general, let's talk about women. Let's talk about women. Nowadays, in 2024, it would seem as though men are even better women than women are. I mean, we consistently hear things like trans women are real women. Trans women are real women. In fact, I even hear there's men who claim that they are straight that date trans women, biological men, and always go around on social media insisting that they are not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I want to celebrate for International Women's Day, which was just like yesterday, 2 days ago, and International Women's Month, or Women's History Month, which is the month of March. We're going to celebrate the women, the trans women, the biological men that women better than women themselves. And so here's one that I find interesting. This is somebody who partnered with Lyft. This is a biological man who partnered with Lyft to advertise a promotion called, quote, Women Connect, which is a feature that matches women and non-binary drivers with other women and non-binary passengers so that they feel more safe and more comfortable. Take a look and a listen to this TikTok.
Hi, I'm Davey, and this is Maxine, and we have been driving with Lyft for over 6 years. And Maxine and I are getting ready to go out driving tonight, but we're going to try something new for the first time in those 6 years. We're going to turn on the Women Plus Connect feature. Women Plus Connect is a feature that matches women and non-binary drivers with more women and non-binary riders. Women Plus Connect gives women and non-binary drivers the option to turn on a preference that will prioritize matches with other nearby women and non-binary riders. Women Plus Connect first launched in September of last year in select early access cities, but now they're expanding it nationwide. I'm so excited. This feature offers more control over the driving experience for women and non-binary people, allowing them to feel more confident in the car. All right, time to get driving.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm not a woman. Neither is this individual. But if I was, and if there was an option for me as the most beautiful woman that I am to ride in a rideshare app with a woman, and that was supposed to make me feel more safe, I'd rather not be picked up by a man who pretends to be a woman. I feel as though I'd rather, and look, let me know, ladies, in the comments, because again, I'm not a woman. I'm not going to claim to know what you think. But the way that I would see it is that I would rather ride with a man who knows he's a man as a woman than ride with a man who thinks, who conjures up these delusions that he's a woman. Because I feel more safe with somebody who isn't so mentally ill and delusional. Just an idea. Just an idea. But that's not the only one. I have other biological men who woman better than woman themselves that I want to talk about. And here's one that I find very fun. So this is an actual Netflix comedy special. So this is from Hannah Gadsby's Gender Agenda featuring Mix. So that's like the prefix. So you know how like there's Mr. and Mrs. like for normal people. Well, some of these delusional individuals have a prefix that's MX. Mix Dahlia Bell, who is a grown man who thinks that he's a woman, discussing his fake vagina. Seriously, content warning just a little bit, but let's watch this together. This will be fun.
Factory default vaginas are the divine gateway of life. Our species could not exist without them. I will never take that away from you because I don't want to. And also, there are plenty of things an aftermarket vagina can do that a stock vagina cannot. Like destroy the fabric of Western civilization.
I know right now it might be that my screen seems to be frozen. Do not worry, we will react to this soon. My computer is having a great and fun time trying to deal with this. I hope you can still hear me. Please comment and let me know that you can still hear me. We will be back very soon.
Only my pussy does that.
I want to make sure you guys really get to hear all this crap.
Only my pussy can murder the little baby Jesus before he even has a chance to start an apocalyptic death pool and ruin the world. That's
Give me a moment.
Miracle pussy. That is how I define good pussy. I do also realize, of course, that last joke may offend some Christians. And it is very important to me that you know that I don't care.
I don't know if you guys got to hear all that, but do not worry. I will be back to ensure that you get to watch and hear all of that, and we will react to that together. If you can hear me, I hope you can. My computer is having issues. This is why I recommend, if you have the means to support this show through Venmo, Cash App, or a super chat, I would really appreciate it so I can get a computer that can actually handle all of this, because this isn't my Wi-Fi. This is my computer's inability to handle all the things I'm currently running to bring you some of the best content and the true content that no one else would ever be able to do. So please stick with me in the comments. I will be right back as soon as I can, in the best way possible. Do not worry. This is not I'm not going anywhere. We are going to react to this together. And stay tuned, because this is we're not ending this. We're not ending this. We have work to do. I want to show you guys this stuff, and I'm working on it. Do not worry. Do not worry. Stick with me. Keep the comments going. Have a fun time in the comments. Please. What did I tell you guys? I'd be back. I am so sorry that that happened. Once again, please consider helping out this show through Venmo, Cash App, anything like that. You're right. I'm happy you guys could still hear me. My computer did get AIDS. Let's make sure guys to be able to react to all of that similar to how I was. And so we're going to kind of restart just that video. I know that it might have not been very happy for you guys, but I want to make sure that I could do everything I can to bring you guys some of the best content. So I'm gonna bring that video back up for you guys so we can react to it together. I know you might have heard it, but it's just one of the many things leftists do. Happy International Women's Day and month to everybody. Here's a biological man pandering about his fake vagina. Here we go.
Factory default vaginas are the divine gateway of life. Our species could not exist without them. I will never take that away from you because I don't want to.
Like, this is a real person. Like, who woke up in the morning and was like, hey, let me put on these glasses, this wig, and this is a biological man, this necklace, this dress, this white belt. Like, let's do this. Like, this looks good. Who thinks that this looks good? Let me know in the comments. Do you think this looks good for a biological man? Let me know.
And also, there are plenty of things an aftermarket vagina can do that a stock vagina cannot. Like destroy the fabric of Western civilization as we know it.
I'm not actually going to disagree with that. That's not necessarily false. Yes, believing that you can become a woman and partaking in surgeries that change your bodily makeup and affirm a delusion in your head, yes, that could destroy Western civilization as we know it. So, yes, not to mention the fact that you're affirming, this individual here is affirming the entire idea that female comedians, if this is a woman, as I'm told, if I were to play by the rules that trans women are women, this only reinforces the stereotype that women aren't funny. And part of that reason is because all their jokes are about vaginas. Just saying.
Only my pussy does that. Only mine. Only my pussy can murder the little baby Jesus before he even has a chance to start an apocalyptic death cult and ruin the world.
And now he makes fun of Christians and Christian theology without ever actually, I don't know. It's not even funny in the way. Like, here's the thing is that I've heard people make fun of Catholics. I mean, I'm a Catholic myself. You can make jokes about ha ha ha. Like there's Catholic priests that touch little boys. Ha ha ha. And they've been kind of funny. I've heard funny jokes about it. I mean, it's making light of horrific situations. Sure, do it. This isn't even funny. This is making fun of Christians for the sake of making fun of Christians and not actually for the sake of trying to make a joke. Period.
That's miracle pussy. That is how I define good pussy. I do also realize, of course, that last joke may offend some Christians. And it is very important to me that you know that I don't care.
Okay, you don't have to care. I don't really care whether or not you care. But the thing about this is that you can make fun of Christians. I'm not going to think it's funny. I'm not going to really support it in any way. I'll expose it for what it is. But the problem I have is then you have Dave Chappelle, who is by no means a conservative, but comes out and he'll say things that are kind of making fun of the trans community, and they will be up in arms. You have to cancel Dave Chappelle. He's a transphobe. He's an LGBTQphobe. He talks about the alphabet mafia in a mean way, blah, blah, blah. Cancel Dave Chappelle. Cancel Dave Chappelle. And then you have a trans person who comes out and says a mean thing about Christians. And most Christians will be able to say, man, like, I just pray that person finds salvation one day. Yeah, maybe like the Westboro Baptists would come out and protest that. But the vast majority of Christians would just be like, oh, man, I just like don't want to associate myself with that. But none of them are coming out and saying, cancel this half-assed comedian that's not even funny. No, we don't care. Because we know we can just avoid it. That's the problem I really have with that one. But that's a biological man that's making a name for himself as a woman. Here's the last one I currently have for tonight that I think is very and this is funny to me because something I keep hearing from people on social media and TikTok is that it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine for biological men to date other biological men if they identify as women, and it's apparently not gay. It's not gay. It's not gay. And so I found this one, and I love reacting to these ones. I think these are hilarious because the hoops people jump through to try to justify biological men dating other biological men is very, very, very funny to me. So take a look and a listen at this individual who tries to justify dating a quote unquote trans woman, biological man, and saying 5 things I wish I would have known. Here we go.
5 things I wish I would have known before dating a trans woman. Number 1, this girl is every bit of a woman, and then some. Think of her as that Happy Meal with the extra special toy that you haven't played with yet. Number 2, you say, hey, Adam, I've already got that toy to play with myself. Why would we need a second toy to play with at the same time? Did we need a second Ace Ventura Pet Detective movie? Did the Chappelle Show need a second season? Did we really need to clone Kanye West to make a second? Wait, that's a bad example. But moral of the story is, good things come in twos. Number 3, you ever have one of those nights where you want to have a little bit of fun, but your schlong and chimichanga doesn't want to show up to the big game? Well, who better to understand than a woman who has dealt with those same complications?
It's not a woman. Like, that's not a woman. That's not a woman. Like, you realize that, right? Like, if it's a woman that's dealt with those same that's not a woman. Like, this dude is so gay and he doesn't even realize it. Like, this again, there's like, okay, be gay. The problem I have more with it, like, okay, yeah, being gay is a sin. Like, we could go down that rabbit hole. I don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now. The problem I have is that you're lying to yourself so hard. You are so far deep into lying to yourself that it's like, it's depressing to watch.
So now when she says, oh, it's okay, babe, it looks cute, you know she's coming from a place of empathy and not pity. Number 4, no, this does not make you gay. Listen.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If you're dating and sleeping with another man, biological man, that is gay. And the other thing too is that if you have to tell me, if you have to go so far as to tell me and be like, no, it's not gay, it's not gay. Let me tell you and jump through the hoops as to why it's not gay. Then maybe it is. You want to know it's not gay? Straight biological man with straight biological woman. If it's the only other way that it could I guess the only, you want to know what else is not technically gay? Trans man with trans woman. That is also not technically gay. Because it is a biological man with a biological woman. That's what's not gay. So I guess I shouldn't even say straight. Biological man with biological woman. Because you could also have biological man with trans man. And that's technically kind of straight. They're making so much math to this when it should be really simple. Let's finish this off.
This is a little bit different than those sleepovers you and your bros used to have when you were younger. That was a little gay. Being with a woman of any kind means every part of her is feminine. And while I can't fully explain it, that feminine energy is the hottest thing in the world. You'll figure everything else out later.
It's not feminine energy. Like, that's the thing. Is that's like that. I am not attracted to my girlfriend because of, quote, feminine energy. I am attracted to her for a multitude of reasons, but one of which included is the fact that she's genuinely a female. Like, at the very, very bare minimum that. So, okay.
Number 5. This is a woman.
No, it's not.
A powerful woman.
No, it's
been through a lot.
A very powerful woman. Okay. there could be powerful women that are genuinely women, but the only reason that you would describe this biological man who is actually who pretends to be a woman as powerful is because of the hanging schlong in between this woman's legs.
To work towards a body and image that she identifies as. So if you want a conversation with sustenance and not just a conversation about the avocado toast she had earlier, spend some time with a trans woman and you'll meet one of the most beautiful women you've ever met. So follow me for more dating advice with some of the most beautiful women in the world.
Yeah, no, I don't even care if you look like a woman. That is a biological man who is parading around as a woman as an insult, maybe not even intentionally, but insulting to real women. And also simply lying to people. Now, I have more TikToks and such of biological men parading around as women that I could do to celebrate International Women's Day. And if you would like me to do so, please consider supporting the show through Venmo, Cash App, anything like that. But that's what I have prepped, at least for right now. I could do more, but I would really appreciate if you guys would consider supporting to the show. And I do see one of these comments down here. The avocado toast comment is really insulting to biological women, kind of. But the point of what he's saying is kind of funny, in the fact that what he's saying in and of itself kind of diminishes the idea that trans women are real women, because what he's saying is he's like, real women, this is like the very, very base or very, very reduced version of what he's saying, is that real women will want to talk with you and have conversation and be a stereotype of a woman, like talk about their day and how they're doing and feelings and all that stuff. As a trans woman is actually a man, and so he won't need to talk to you about the food he's having. He'll just be ready to have gay sex that I'm not going to tell you is gay, that I'm going to pretend is straight, and not actually act like a real woman. That's essentially what he's saying. That's what the avocado toast comment actually meant, is that this is a biological man, so he'll think like a biological man, and you get to pretend that it's a woman, and I'm going to tell you and pretend like it's a woman. So that's essentially what that comment meant. I bet he's got a 3-inch weenie. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's like somebody who weighs 300 pounds and says, I'm not fat. Absolutely. As a person of country culture, he needs to take that hat off right now. Broke Pat. Oh my God. I have the best commenters in the world. I have the best fans and the best people in my comment section in the world. YouTube is tripping. I know ScrewTube will try to keep me off, but please, guys, don't forget to support the show in any way possible, whether that's financial, if you have the means, or like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell. If your notifications are not on and you don't have them set to all, then in some way you are not validating to me that ScrewTube is out to get me, because I know they are, but I need your guys' help. I need your guys' help on that. And I appreciate if you would like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, set it to all, comment what you think, share it with your friends. Consider, please, supporting the show through Venmo, Cash App, Super Chats, memberships, anything like that, so I can keep updating my equipment so that I know it's not YouTube, and that I can bring you the best content at all times. Better camera, better computer, better processor, everything like that. I'd appreciate it. And until tomorrow night, 6 p.m., where I will be bringing on real women to celebrate real women for real International Women's Day, real Women's History Month. Until tomorrow night, 6 p.m., again, tune in. God bless you. God bless America. And thank you for watching Speechless.